What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be trying to go over everything you need to know about Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 4. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below what you think of Season 4. Personally, I'm pretty happy with it. Obviously, it's not perfect. There's some annoying stuff. That's just how Fortnite goes. But of the season launches we've had in Chapter 5, this is probably my favorite. There's a lot of weapons that were vaulted with this update, though. The Thunderburst SMG, Huntress DMR, Enforcer AR, Combat Shotgun, Nuka-Cola, Laser Rifle, EMP Grenades, Tow Hook, car mods as like an item or concept were all vaulted, so there's no more vehicle mods. The Heavy Impact Sniper, the Hand Cannon, the Magneto Gloves, the Nitro Fists, Nitro as an item and a concept was vaulted. The Harbinger SMG was vaulted. The Boombolt Crossbow was vaulted. All of Season 3's medallions, the Crash Pad Jr., and the Med Mist were all vaulted. And the most, like, obviously, there's a lot of things, but I think the most impactful things are obviously going to be Nitro Fists, Nitro, Magneto Gauntlets, the Thunderburst SMG, and then car mods all being vaulted definitely changes the game. There are still Nitro rings around the map that just push you through, like how they did last season. But they don't give you Nitro anymore after you go through them. There's no Nitro at all. They did unvault some items from past Fortnite seasons, though, or Chapter 5 seasons. We got the Striker AR, the Hyper SMG, Chug Splash, and the Flowberry were all unvaulted, so they're back in the loot pool. And then we also got several new items. First, we got the Sovereign Shotgun. This is a very interesting shotgun because it has two fire rates based on whether or not you're aiming or if you're hip firing. So when you hip fire, this shotgun is going to shoot faster, but it isn't very accurate. It has a wide spread, which will lead to more inconsistent damage. But when you aim in, the weapon gets a nice accuracy bonus, but it shoots slower. So with this shotgun, you got to kind of pick and choose whether or not you're going to aim in or hip fire for the situation, and that will kind of impact your fire rate. And then it will also, in a way, impact your damage because a tighter pellet spread should lead to more consistent damage. This isn't my favorite shotgun in the game right now, but I did like playing around with it, and I definitely think it has potential. The real skill with this weapon not only is going to be aiming, obviously, but knowing when you should hip fire and when you should aim in and go for that more accurate, harder hitting, but slower shot. The Striker Burst AR was also added, and this is a new version of this weapon. If you guys played in Chapter 3, you're probably well aware of this item. But this is a Chapter 5 version, so it can now get attachments, and it also is projectile, so it has bullet drop and bullet travel time. It does shoot a lot faster than what it did in Chapter 3, though. So the Striker Burst AR is back as a newer version. If you guys have been playing throughout Chapter 5, I'm sure you're kind of used to this by now, where they bring back an old gun but make a new version of it. Overall, I thought this was good. It was definitely solid as an AR. I was getting kills with it. I was getting melted by it. It's solid. The dual SMGs are a new, spray SMG. It has a very high fire rate, and up close, it can kill incredibly fast. But at more medium range, the damage is pitiful, and it's hard to consistently hit shots because you can only hip fire. I thought these were okay. They're definitely good. Like, I just don't know whether or not I want to use them because, like, I just don't feel like there's space in my inventory for these. But off spawn, I was using them a good amount, and versus any of the bosses, I feel like these SMGs melted them incredibly fast. The Monarch pistol is a weapon that I didn't get to play around with too much today, but it's a slower fire rate, hard-hitting pistol, like a hand cannon, but not quite as slow and not quite as hard-hitting. Definitely a good weapon. I saw a lot of people saying a lot of positive things about the Monarch pistol, but I just really didn't get around to using it today. There's the Captain America shield as an item, and you can actually throw this shield similar to how we could throw Darth Vader's lightsaber in the past. And it hits for 60, and you can ricochet it off of things. And from my experience, this thing kind of has aimbot. Like, it felt like it felt very easy to hit people with, and it felt like anytime someone threw it at me, it was hitting me. So I feel like this thing is very generous with the ricochets on whether or not it's going to hit somebody. And it hits for 60 damage every time, and then people can block with the shield as well, kind of like how you would expect. And they can sprint and do a shield bash. This was one of the more irritating things to me while playing today, for sure. We also got all of the War Machine items, which are also, I think, very annoying. So there's the War Machine Arsenal. This is the thing we saw in the trailer that has, like, missiles. And then it also has a machine gun aspect to it. There's the War Machine auto turret, which is like you put it on and then there's like a laser coming off of your back and it will start shooting at enemy players. The DPS on this is pretty insignificant though. I'll have a clip on screen now of me just killing an NPC with it. And you see it does not, it hits for 20 like every second or two. Like it's not very good as far as damage goes. But I think just playing against it, it's kind of like overwhelming when like the person shooting you and this is shooting you and there's so much noise and stuff on your screen. And then also kind of having it just to like kind of notify you of nearby enemies is effective. And then there's also the War Machine Hover Jet. This is the jetpack. You can double tap your jump button and then you'll kind of glide with this jetpack. With your crouch button, you can descend in altitude. And then there also is a boost, which I believe is supposed to be mapped to your sprint button. But for me, it was mapped to the default sprint button, and I'm not sure if there's a way to change this. And the reason why this really matters is because there's a way to kind of emulate the gatekeeper dashes using this jetpack. And so you double jump to use the jetpack, you hit the boost button, and then you hit the drop in altitude button. So you don't go really high, but you go laterally pretty quick. For me, this button combination was XX, left stick, right stick. And if I wanted to land in a slide, I would have to do XX, left stick, right stick, and then hold it the second time. So when I was just doing one right stick click, I never landed in a slide. But when I did two right stick clicks, which are my crouch button, I was able to land in a slide. I know that sounds pretty complicated, but I feel like once you play around with this, it's actually pretty simple. When it was initially explained to me, I thought it was going to be way more difficult to do than it actually is, but it's basically just a 4-button combination. Again, for me, it's jump, the boost, which is sprint, and then your crouch button to descend. So for me, it was XX, left stick, right stick, right stick. And if you do that pretty quickly, you basically dash around. I should have had footage of it on screen now. And this, I think using this is probably going to be the meta for the season. When I was streaming today, I did not really mess around with this because I didn't feel like trying to get used to this and figure it out as like a bunch of people were telling me about it. I would rather just kind of learn it and custom on my own time. But yeah, I think the War Machine Hover Jet with this kind of dash is going to be very good and will probably be the meta. Dr. Doom also has a green ball, like mythic weapon where you just throw out balls of energy. It's kind of annoying to play against, it hit hard, but I didn't encounter it very much. For returning items, we got the combat AR, the gatekeeper shotgun, the ranger pistol, shockwave grenade, shield bubbles, and bunkers. And then for heals, we got the mini shield, big pot, flowberry fizz, medkits, and then bandages. In addition to the regular flowberry and chug splash being unbolted, like I said. So personally, from my experience playing today, I think the gatekeeper shotgun was still my preferred shotgun. And then for my spray weapon or AR, it was between the striker AR and the striker burst AR. I kind of used both, and they're both okay. I'm not really sure which one I prefer yet. I ran the shield bubbles a lot today. I was just doing 2 guns, mobility, heals, and then the shield bubbles. And the reason why I think the shield bubbles are so good to have is against some of the more annoying items like the Dr. Doom energy ball thing, the Arsenal rockets, and the Captain America shield. Throwing the shield bubble down kind of just counters those items. Because if someone shoots rockets at your bubble, it doesn't hit you. If they throw the shield at your bubble, it doesn't hit you. The green ball, I'm pretty sure, is blocked by the shield bubble as well. And so a lot of these more annoying things in the game, you can kind of use the shield bubble to counteract and force that person into a bubble fight. And if you get used to playing these bubble fights out, then I think you will have a distinct advantage over people in those fights. And the rockets do go on cooldown. So if someone just shoots all their rockets at your shield bubble, then you kind of have an opportunity to be able to fight them when their rockets are on cooldown. So I think shield bubbles are a nice thing to have this season. Bunkers will be good too, for sure. Like, all these cover items are always fine. It was just like, is it worth carrying in zero build for me? Typically not, but this season has much less mobility than last, and I feel like with there being less mobility, or like mobility that you have to think more about if you're going to use it or not, like shockwaves, having a cover item to like save yourself if you get caught in like no man's land or in a bad situation, I think is good. And I do think the shield bubble is a decent counter to a lot of the more annoying things in the season. So if you're having a hard time playing against the Arsenal or the Captain America shield, I would recommend using the shield bubbles. New POIs, we got Doomstat replacing Lavish Lair. We got Doom Castle on the top right of the map. We got Doom's Courtyard replacing Classy Courts, and then we got the Raft replacing Pleasant Piazza. And some of these locations have bosses. So the Mysterio boss is at the Doomstat POI, and when eliminated, he'll drop a medallion that makes you invisible when you're crouched. This is similar to the Metal Gear Solid invisibility item, and to my understanding, it does have like a defect where when you crouch, you go invisible, but when you want to exit invisibility, you have to like, there's an animation for it, so it can make it rough to react, I think, in some situations. And I would not want to carry this medallion. I think this medallion is bad, and you're probably better off not having it. And then he does drop a mythic version of the Sovereign Shotgun, but I personally did not like his mythic Sovereign Shotgun because it has a red dot on it, which I did not want. This is a shotgun that heavily encourages you to aim in. And so if you like the red dot on the shotgun, that's great. This won't bother you. But if you don't like the red dot on the shotgun, this is probably going to bother you because you should be aiming in certain situations with the shotgun. And then it also had the laser sight for better hipfire, which normally I would like. But with the Sovereign Shotgun, I want the angled foregrip for faster aimed on sight to take advantage of that unique mechanic it has. And then it also had suppressor, which I didn't like. So I didn't like his mythic weapon or his medallion, but I did like that POI a lot, and it's one of my favorite medallions, I think, on the Chapter 5 map. Emma Frost is at the Raft, and her medallion works similar to the scanner NPCs you can hire, where it'll emit a radar pulse periodically and mark things around you, and then she also drops a mythic striker burst AR. Dr. Doom is at Castle Doom, and his medallion gives you Siphon on elimination, so you get 50 shield or health when you eliminate an enemy, similar to the Hades medallion. He also drops that mythic green ball thing I talked about and a mythic Monarch pistol. I don't remember. I never used it, so I don't know what attachments his Monarch pistol had. And then the mythic striker that Emma Frost had, I thought had just fine attachments. I think it had the strafe attachment rather than the reduced recoil, but either way, it wasn't the end of the world. I thought Mysterio's mythic and medallion were bad, but the other two medallions I think are quite good. And then the mythic weapons were probably fine as well. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative, interesting. I would highly recommend carrying a cover item if you can. And then I would also highly recommend trying to get to learn the dash with that jetpack, because I think the players that are able to use that will have a distinct advantage this season, especially early on when not a lot of people are aware of it or very accustomed to doing it. So I hope you guys found this informative, helpful, interesting. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this season, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.